Have you ever thought about how one meme that goes popular could change someone's whole life? How a guy who used to have trouble navigating the online world became a star, turning people's amusement at his cost into a huge, devoted fan base. FlightReacts, whose real name is Clarence Javelli, is a great example of this. It is truly amazing how he went from being the subject of jokes to becoming a YouTube star. How did he do it, though? How did he go from being laughed at on the internet to being famous on it? Through today's movie, we'll show you how FlightReacts turned memes into huge YouTube hits. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. This is where we look into the untold stories of the biggest stars on the internet. The early days, struggling to find his niche. FlightReacts didn't become famous all of a sudden on the internet. He really did start out small, just like a lot of YouTubers. He tried making a lot of different kinds of videos in his early days on YouTube, from game videos to reaction videos. It wasn't until 2015 that he really started to get noticed. At that time, reaction videos were becoming more famous, and Flight saw a chance. But his responses were different from everyone else's. They were honest, unfiltered, and often funny by accident. He wasn't afraid to show how he felt, whether it was surprise, anger, or confusion. He stood out from the others because he was honest. People who watched Flight never knew what to expect, and that made him grow. However, things weren't always easy. At first, it was hard for him to keep his ideas consistent. His movies didn't get as much attention as those of bigger YouTubers in the reaction niche. Like a lot of YouTubers, things didn't start to go well until he found his own style. The fact that Flight was honest, ready to share his real feelings, and sometimes made mistakes, all added to his appeal. Individuals saw him as someone who wasn't putting on a show, but rather being himself. Because he was so real, it helped set the stage for what would become his famous meme moment. The meme that changed everything. It all changed when Flight was the subject of several internet jokes. His confident claim that basketball star Steph Curry was underrated became one of his most famous quotes, which quickly went viral on the internet. It made a lot of people laugh, and soon FlightReacts was all over the place. His responses, especially to basketball games, were so funny that they became memes. Other times, like when he hilariously misunderstood game highlights or lost his temper out of the blue, they just fed the meme machine. The internet went crazy as people shared clips and laughed at his gaffes. But what did Flight do that made it work? Some people might have broken down when they were made fun of, but Flight took it all in stride. Even though jokes sometimes made fun of him, he knew that they kept his name in the conversation. Flight didn't let the jokes get him down. Instead, he welcomed them. He lent into the online version of himself that it had made for him. He kept saying bold and often crazy things because he knew they would get people's attention. His films got more views when people made fun of him. The show Flight had found a winning formula: controversial views and over-the-top responses that kept people watching. Consistency and engagement. The keys to success. FlightReacts' regularity is a big part of how he turned his meme status into a YouTube hit. Flight is known for posting more than once a week, so his fans always have something new to look forward to. His regular uploads keep him current in YouTube, where things are always changing and staying in the public eye is very important. Engagement is another important factor. Flight talks to his friends when he has time. His goal is to answer all of his fans' questions, whether they ask them in the comments or on social media. His level of involvement has helped him gain fans who will stick with him through good times and bad. People are more likely to keep watching a YouTuber if they feel like they have something in common with them. Flight knows this better than most. Besides that, he really listens to what his crowd has to say. A lot of his videos are reactions to ideas or trends from viewers. People who watch him feel like they're on his journey, which keeps them interested. What's the lesson here? To build a lasting influence on YouTube, you need to be consistent and interact with other people. Diversifying content. His posts got longer as FlightReacts did. He wasn't just making reaction films. He began to include games, vlogs, and working with other YouTubers instead. He was able to reach new people and keep his content fresh by changing it up. One example that stands out is his work with the 2 Hype group, which is made up of famous YouTubers who make videos about basketball and video games. Flight increased his audience by trying new things, which brought in people who might not have been interested in his reaction videos at first. This smart move made sure that his growth would last, and not just be a one-time thing. As long as he didn't depend on any one type of material, he could change with the times on the platform. Because Flight was open to change, he stayed popular long after the jokes were over. His gaming movies, in particular, reached a new group of people, which helped him reach even more people. Flight made sure that his channel never got boring by playing NBA 2K or responding to internet moments that went popular. His ability to switch gears and start making different kinds of videos has helped him stay on YouTube for a long time. The power of personality Flight's success is also due to the fact that he is very big-hearted. He's rude, loud, and doesn't feel bad about being himself. Flight stays true to what makes him different in a world where many artists try to change themselves to fit what they think will get more views. That's why his fans love him. People keep watching him because, even though his responses are often exaggerated, they seem real. His sincerity is what has made him so popular on YouTube. They like that he sticks by his points of view even when they don't agree with them. Flight isn't afraid to be wrong, which is nice in a world where everyone tries to be great. Getting to know him is another important point. Even though he's becoming more famous, Flight often acts like he's just like everyone else. He gets excited, angry, and sometimes crazy when he watches sports events, just like any other die-hard fan would. People like this human side of him, and many of them see themselves in his angry reactions. Overcoming criticism. Of course, being famous means getting criticized, and Flight has had his fair share. Many people have made fun of him for how much he knows about basketball and for saying questionable things in his response videos. But Flight has not tried to avoid the criticism. Instead, it has lent into it. He knows people hate him and often makes jokes about how bad or good he is at hoops. His crowd loves him even more because he can laugh at himself. Flight is aware that some people will not take him seriously, but that's what makes him so appealing. He's just having fun and not trying to be good at it. Because Flight doesn't take himself too seriously. Something that could have been a weakness has become one of his best traits. Building a brand, Flight's name grew as he became more well-known. He began to sell things, work with other influential people, and even try his hand at music. Millions of people watched his song "Disingenuous" on YouTube, which made him even more of a multi-talented artist. By going into other areas, Flight has made a name for itself that isn't just reaction films. Especially his line of goods has done very well. Stickers with Flight's catchphrases and famous moments are great for making merch for fans who love the YouTuber. Because Flight has many ways to make money, he has been able to keep his success even as YouTube's rules and algorithms change. Staying relevant. One of the hardest things for YouTubers is keeping relevant in a world that is always changing. Trends change over time, so what's hot today might not be tomorrow. Flight has stayed popular by always being ahead of the game. He responds quickly to the latest viral moments, making sure that his material is always relevant and interesting. Flight has also never been afraid to change. He's always looking for new ways to entertain his audience, even though his main content stays the same. Flight has shown that he's not a one-trick pony by making new kinds of content, working with other people, or even just getting better at reacting. Outro. That's how FlightReacts went from being a funny internet thing to a big hit on YouTube. And want to hear more stories about your favorite artists that haven't been told before? We'd hate for you to miss out on some more interesting trips we have to share. If you click that bell, you'll be the first to know when we post. Glad you watched, and see you in the next video.